the 28th, no, it's the 24th of July, 2020. Wasn't checking the year. Um, and here's what's happening in the crypto market. That's what we're going to talk about today. If you're looking real quick at Bitcoin on the daily time frame, you can certainly see what's been going on today is pretty much what we've been saying is going to be happening. As Bitcoin hit the top of the power mean band some days ago, and there certainly is a very distinct possibility, even probability, that it will come a little bit closer towards the reverse wave trend before possibly finding a little bit more buy pressure for a little while and then possibly coming back down to test it, or it could just go straight down and test it in that area right there would be around 111.1k. That certainly is an area of interest if we are tracking how Bitcoin is looking to be doing over the coming days. Does that mean that it has to do that? Well, obviously not. There is still technically room for it to run up. Yeah, it could certainly get a nice leg up from here and have a nice little move to the upside. Definitely within the probabilities. You can see that on the long length of the AVQ, for example, still actually looking to the upside. Short length is looking down, as are the direction predictors. A little bit to the downside, but volatility, generally speaking, is looking flat and a tiny bit up. So it is entirely possible that we will see that the asset might actually move towards the upside a little bit before coming down. But that's why we look at lower time frames, right? Always look to the lower time frames. So I'm not going to go through all the different workflows right now. But I will say that on the 15-minute, way down on the 15-minute, way down. Intraday monitors is what it is. We have a very tight central daily range today, which means it's probably a trending day, and we have seen trending moves today on that time frame. And the daily range has been tested. Right now, it's just below the daily range, just below the 68.3 Laplace probability on the 4-hour, and it is below the alpha mean as well as the central daily range, and just below the daily Laplace 68.3 to the downside, which is like right on top of the 4-hour 68.3 to the downside Laplace. So it's also right at the 49 RWT, I believe that is. Let me double check that because that is quite intense. Let's just double check here. Oops. I believe that is the 49. Yeah, right at the 49 and the 15 RWT of all things. So it's at the 49. It's at the 90-minute, 49 length, and it's at a couple different. It's basically at a few different RWTs or reverse wave trends right now, and heading up on the current candle on the 15-minute. But what's most important about this 15-minute is that it is tight on the day. So trending moves expected, especially as we head into the market open. If you want to know more about how to read the alpha trading VEPS information, which again looks like this kind of information. That's the VRE chart, the volatility indicator, AVQs. That's Laplace normal distribution bands as well as the RMLRs. That's entropy oscillator. That is the entropy width. VRE width. And that's the power mean ribbon, the COV, and returns oscillator, and the Wolfsbane, and the Laplace Z-score, pseudo Laplace Z-score, and the DLP. So if you want to learn how to read those indicators, well, you can do that just by coming to the Alpha Trading live streams or Discord. It's free to enter. And yeah. Oh, hello, Jordy. I see your message. And you can actually get the free volatility starter pack. Let me see if I can show that to you. Yeah, I can. It's right there on the screen here. Let me just show that to you. This is the volatility starter pack, which includes the volatility indicators. This volatility indicator That's the volatility indicator. That's the volatility indicator, and it includes the correlations, the Pearson correlation there, there, and there. This chart comes set up for you just like this, and like this. You got the ALR right there, and you got the AVQs right there. It comes with one of them set up, but you can just always, add another one if you have a package on TradingView that lets you add a bunch of indicators, which is like, I think, I don't know, $9, $10 a month, whatever it is that they charge. Or, or you can use the free account with a couple different browsers, a couple different free accounts, and you can set this up on a couple different browsers. We have an easy way for you to do that in our Discord. Anyway, you can just come to our Discord again at alphatradinghq.com/Discord, and you can learn to read volatility and the correlation, which shows you the tendency of the direction of price, as well as the ALR, which shows you how to read the targeting for up and down and divergences, bear and bull and hidden, bear and hidden bull, and AVQ for the also the tendency of the direction of price, if you will. It's kind of, shows you basically great places to enter, hold, and exit trades. It's very useful for that. Yeah, this is all free. All this stuff right here is free, and these are the indicators that we use as the founders of Alpha Trading. These are the indicators we literally used when we started Alpha Trading. We started with these indicators, and then eventually we got our hands on our developers made more indicators for us, like these indicators, and many more. So we use these. We use these as I showed you before, and it's fantastic. So if you want to learn how to use that, just come to the Alpha Trading Discord, alphatradinghq.com/Discord, or go to the live streams. They start at 11 o'clock Eastern time for now. I think in a few weeks, probably sometime around mid-August, we'll be heading back to do our live streams shortly before market open. We might even do that sooner rather than later. But today, tomorrow, Saturday, we're still doing the live streams at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And you can just enter the Discord or watch us on Rumble. But enter the Discord. It's the easiest way to join the live streams and actually participate. You can actually ask questions and get them answered. It's an educational format. Like we're there to help people who don't know. So yeah, we do show probabilities and targets on any given day based on the VEPs. But if anybody has any questions, like how do I read this? How do I read that? How do I set this? That's what the live stream is really all about. So you can always enter and ask questions and participate. So that is the whole point, really, of the live streams. So the more the merrier in that sense. Yeah, I'm going to keep it brief on this one, but I just want to let you guys know. A reminder what is happening in the Bitcoin space right now and in crypto in general. Yes, intraday trading wise, do what the VEP says, right, is generally the rule to go with. But if you look at the bigger picture, right, not trading wise, but just bigger picture, think about the absolutely thin supply that exists right now of Bitcoin and other cryptos, and the steady and growing demand that there is, which is much higher right now than the daily production, like several times higher than the daily production. There's not nearly as much Bitcoin being mined anymore as there is being purchased. Like it's not even close. And there's barely any left, right? To mine, there's, like 2 million left to mine, something like, no, a million or something like this. Like 19.8 million have been mined already. So there's like a million and change left to mine. And it's going to take another 115 years to do it. And of the supply that's on exchanges, which is a couple million coins, only something like 700,000 were considered available for purchase, in trading about at the beginning of this month. And as of 2 weeks into this month, we know that 140,000 were purchased on exchanges, new Bitcoins, like new Bitcoin investors. 140 bought 140,000 Bitcoins. if those are taken away from the pool that were available for purchase and not the long-term holdings, that means there's not a lot of there's less than now there's like maybe 560,000 bitcoins left for trading. And that was the first half of July. And Bitcoin has gone up more than 20 billion% in returns from the day it opened on exchanges when it was at zero to the all-time highs a couple weeks ago. That is a pretty significant amount of returns. In fact, it's the highest ever on any asset, ever, really, on any liquid asset in any market. If the demand continues at the rate that it's been going, say in July we only get 140,000, that's it. Not a single Bitcoin is bought from the middle of July until the end of July, which obviously is not true because we've seen thousands and thousands being bought since then. But let's just say not a single Bitcoin gets bought in the second half of July, and then we have the exact same 140,000 being bought. So like basically half of July is what we get for all of September, October, and November, and August. So August, September, October, November, we each get 140,000 on average. Okay, that would be more than the available known supply available for trading and purchasing right now. And again, Strategy wants another 1.4 million. I'm sorry, 0.4 million. And BlackRock wants another 0.3 million. So that's 700,000 just between those two companies. And 21, what are they called? 21 Capital wants another, they want 1 million Bitcoins. Not $1 million of Bitcoin, 1 million Bitcoins. And the blockchain group out of Europe wants God knows how many Bitcoins. And Metaplex wants tens or hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin. Metaplex? Metaverse? The Japanese hotel chain. There's not enough Bitcoin for all of these big players to buy in terms of available supply. They're going to have to pay through the nose to convince people to sell them their Bitcoins. They're going to have to convince people who've been holding Bitcoins for 5, 10, or 15 years through all the ups and downs, who have not sold at the most recent all-time highs, to sell them their Bitcoins. Why? If you believe it's going to $1 million, why would you sell it at 110, 120, 150, 200, or even $250,000? If you've been holding it all this time, ups and downs, and you clearly don't need the money, or you would have cashed out some of it, why would you give a damn to sell it before it hits $1 million or whatever number you think it's going to go to? People who don't need to sell, who are convinced that it's going to go at $2 million or more, are not going to sell. There is a supply shock. It is happening. I've been saying that forever. Like for the last year, I've been saying, watch what happens in the summer of 2025. I've been saying that since a year. In fact, more, since the beginning of 2024. But really, since a year, I've been saying, look what happened in the first half of 2024. Don't be surprised if by next summer, we're in a supply shock. Well, here we are. Supply shock is here. It is starting to happen. There's very little left on OTCs, if anything. Very little left on over-the-counter deals. We know that. Don't believe me. Go try buy on OTC. Go see what they tell you. Go see how easy it is to get a large purchase without a huge premium. Good luck. Go directly to a miner and see if they'll sell you Bitcoins right now. Good luck. All right? You're not going to get a big bunch of them from anyone who isn't in serious need of cash right now. That's the only people who are going to sell to you. They need money to pay bills. That's it. And people who've been holding for 5, 10, 15 years, which is a huge percentage of the coins that are on these exchanges, on Coinbase and Kraken and Gemini and places like that, they don't have any interest in selling their coins to you. At all, right? They might be holding 1,000 coins. They might be holding 500 coins. They might be holding 20,000. It doesn't matter. They don't want to sell their coins if they've been holding them for 5, 10, or 15 years. Why would they? They see, I mean, if they've been holding them that long, they obviously see the upside benefit of holding them longer for now. Now you might say, you're crazy. This stuff is never going to go to 250,000. That's an insanely high proposition. It's never going to get, forget 1 million. It's never going to get to 250,000 or even 200,000. Maybe. Alan Swart, am I talking to myself? What does every person who does live streams do, practically? Unless they have a guest on. So no, I'm talking to you. And to Jordy and whoever else is here. It says here, message held for review. Potentially inappropriate messages are held for review. Okay. What is your potentially inappropriate message? Right, you are crazy old men. I'm crazy because I'm doing a live stream talking to my audience, which includes you. You're joking. Okay. Well, then you're hilarious, man. I didn't get, woo! Some things go right over the head. Right over the head. Yes, I must be too dense for today. It is Thursday after all. And speaking of Thursday, Thursday is named after Thor, Thor's Day. Thor, the Norse god, who drank out of large Viking mugs or steins. So I shall have from this large Viking mason jar mug some black coffee straight from the Middle East. So the point is, Alan Sour. Is it Alan Sour or Alan Sour? I don't know. But the point is, there is a shockingly low available amount, right? We know that. And we know that the demand keeps growing. We know that Strategy keeps wanting to buy. We know BlackRock keeps wanting to buy. We know the blockchain group wants to buy more. 21 Capital wants to buy more. All the top 9 ETF, the big ETF issuers in the US, they all want to buy more. The Bitcoin ETFs outside of the US continue to buy more because they're growing too in South Korea or South America, wherever they are. Right? There are far more interested parties. And every day, not every week or month, every day, practically, literally every day, we get at least one new company coming into the mix. Like yesterday it was Square, or who knows, or Circle, or Triangle, or one of these shaped companies saying, yeah, we're going to set up a Bitcoin treasury. Adam Backed, the one guy whose name is in the Bitcoin white paper, also said he's setting up a Bitcoin treasury. Every day we're talking companies are coming out of nowhere saying, yeah, we're going to set up a treasury. We want hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin or $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Where are they going to buy this stuff from? They're only going to be able to get it if they pay through the nose to buy it from people. And they're only going to get it from people who need the money. Anyone who doesn't need the money isn't going to sell them anything, which means the prices are going to go very high because they're going to have to pay a lot to get it, even from the people who need the money, because people who need the money will see, hang on, if I just say no a few times, they're going to have to pay me a lot more because I know they want it. And if everybody who's holding is saying a lot more, and we know you don't care if you pay even $1 million of Bitcoin, because they really don't. They view $1 million Bitcoin as a low risk investment. Even say $1 billion a coin. Now, do I personally believe Bitcoin is going to go to $1 billion a coin? Actually, it's completely irrelevant what I think. It's completely irrelevant what I think. Okay? I just know there are some people who said that. Right? And mathematically, well, anything is possible. Probabilistically, anything is possible. There's always probabilities for things. It doesn't mean it's likely to happen anytime soon. And if Bitcoin ever did go to $1 billion a coin, you have to think seriously about the very high probability that what that would imply for the US dollar, right? It would have long surpassed the US dollar as the world currency reserve, right? Once you pass $100 million, which is already an insane number to think about, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. But once you pass $100 million, at 100 million, it's $1 per Satoshi. Once you pass that, I mean, if you're not already the world currency reserve long before that, I'd be surprised. But if you are only going to see Bitcoin becoming the world currency reserve when it reaches parity for one Satoshi to $1, yeah, okay, that's entirely possible. $100 million Bitcoin would, yeah, I mean, $1 per Satoshi. If that doesn't make Bitcoin the world currency reserve, I don't know what will. And more importantly, what will that mean to the US dollar? Because that means that Bitcoin will have gained purchasing power against the US dollar already many more times than it already has, which the US dollar has already lost 99.99% of its purchasing power against Bitcoin in 16 years. Never purchasing power against goods and services since 1913 when it was issued, right? Since the Federal Reserve created the US dollar, right? Before that, dollars were different. They were tied to gold directly, etc. But since the Federal Reserve began issuing the dollar, that dollar, the paper dollar, tied to gold temporarily before it wasn't, has lost 99.99% of its purchasing power. And this is in 112 years. And in 16 years, it's lost 99% of the purchasing power it had at the beginning of 2010 or 2009. It lost 99% of that purchasing power against Bitcoin. So stretch this out another 20, 30 years when your kids or your grandkids are investing 30, 40 years maybe from now. The Bitcoin would be against the dollar if the dollar keeps losing strength at the rate it's been losing strength over the past 112 years against goods and services and against Bitcoin. It will be so in the dirt. You may not remember what it was. Like, it may well be behind us at that point. Now, it could easily last another 30, 40 years, especially sort of, but really just making provisions to let billionaires and other wealthy people get into the stablecoin game. That's really what the Genius Act did for cryptocurrency, in case you're wondering, if I haven't said it enough times. Right? The Genius Act gives rules and legislation to make sure that there is legal recourse if you make a stablecoin business. That's what it does. It protects the wealthy who are going to set up stablecoin businesses. And that's really what it does. Does it protect you as a retail investor? I mean, sure, minimally, but it really is there to protect the investors who make the stablecoin that you will buy into, and like to on ramp and off ramp your cryptocurrency, right? That's the point of it, so that they have a reason to create stablecoin businesses in order to peg more real dollars to virtual crypto dollars. That's the reason for the Genius Act. That's why it exists. Now it exists. Now all the doors are wide open. Now there's a bunch of really wealthy people just waiting and for their developers to say, hey, our product is ready, we can launch it because the market is coming back or something. And they're going to probably launch them sooner rather than from this legislation, right? Like USDT, USDC, or Ripple's, Ripple Labs USD stablecoin thing, whatever it's called. They'll all benefit from it. The ones that already exist, right? To some degree. Anyway, like I said, I don't want this to go over too long, and just, you know, remember the very basics of economics, even if you don't trade nothing ever or whatever. The law of supply and demand. Econ 101. What is the law of supply and demand? The most basic fundamental version of it, right? I've said it during this video, I've said it during many other videos. When there is a high demand and a low supply, price goes up. You don't have to be a genius to figure that out. When there is a high supply and a low demand, price goes down. All right, but right now in Bitcoin land, there is a high demand and a low supply. And you could say, well, then why isn't price shooting through the roof? Because they're still scraping the bottom of the barrel on the OTC deals that they can get from exchanges and from miners, the big buyers who are buying from those places, right? They're buying directly from miners who've been holding for a while and need to pay some bills, or they're buying from exchanges who are willing to sell them from their massive holdings. Because the exchanges know they can still get some of those 770,000, or out of the couple million even, coins that are available on their exchanges that aren't in their, that don't belong to them. They know they can win them in trades against traders, and they can incentivize long-term holders to maybe trade a few coins here and there, and try your hand at trading kind of thing, and give them special deals or whatever. They know they can do that, so they're still willing to sell to big whales and big buyers, right? But that's going to run out really soon, like really, really, really soon. Probably before the end of this year. You don't have to believe me. Just look at the on-chain numbers. Like, don't believe what I'm telling you. Go look at the on-chain data. Right? You can see it there, right there, online. How much is available on exchanges? You can see great estimators from a bunch of different places that make estimates for that. How much is available for trading? You can see also great calculators for that, and you can see how much is being mined, and how much is mined. Right? You can see that literally on chain. Right? And then you can look every week at what are the big 10 biggest buyers buying and announcing every week, because they're announcing it, right? There's a bunch of buyers who are buying a lot, and they want everyone to know, because they have funds or whatever stocks that they want people to buy into, like Strategy. They want people to buy MSTR, right? Or BlackRock. They want people to buy the Bitcoin ETFs, right? Or Blockchain Group out of Europe. They want everybody to know how much they're buying for whatever reason. Or the Metaverse company hotel, I forget their name, the Japanese hotel chain. They want everybody to know because they want people to buy their stock, right? It, remember, there's also people buying, you don't know their names. Companies with a lot of money who are buying, who are not telling you that they're buying because they're privately owned and they don't have to report to any official body. They're just buying quietly. And when they see that the big buyers are buying massive, like hundreds, if not thousands of Bitcoin every week, what do you think they're doing? You think they're just on the sideline chilling out, waiting for prices to drop by half? Or you think they're FOMOing in a little bit and buying as much as they plan to, if not a little bit more? Yeah, they're probably doing that. I hear a funny cat outside there. Yeah, okay. So I'll catch you guys on the next video, and hopefully I'll see you in the live stream starting at 11 a.m. US Eastern Time. Till then, happy Bitcoining, happy cryptoing. Take care. Peace.